Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be reviewing and using the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill Brush Collection, which this is like one of the coolest PR packages ever. Isn't that amazing? It's like glittery on the inside. It's really hard to hold. I'm gonna drop it. Okay, so my plan today is to do a makeup tutorial using one of the Morphe Jaclyn Hill Vault Collection palettes. Probably not the Armed and Gorgeous, since that's the one that I used in my last video. So I'm going to be using one of those palettes today. I haven't decided which one, but the plan is to just use these brushes and not use all of my other brushes, which if you follow me online anywhere, you know that I have a ton of brushes. This is my like go-to daily brushes. Like, these are the ones that I use every single day, and that's not even when I'm doing like a cool like different look than normal. This is like my everyday natural makeup look brushes. So my plan today is to use just the Morphe Jaclyn Hill brushes and to do my review on them. I know this is a highly anticipated brush collection, and it was kind of a surprise. I didn't realize that they were coming out with it so quickly after the Vault collection with the eyeshadows. So I'm pretty excited to try this. There are 3 different collections that you can get, which they're all online right now. I'm pretty sure they're all still available. Oh, okay. I have nowhere to put this. So I'm pretty sure they're all still available. You can do the 24 custom eye and face brushes for $165 plus the case, which is what I have in this box. You can do the Face Master collection, which is 5 face brushes plus the bag, which is like the little glitter bag, which I like that bag a lot. That's actually really cute. And that is $58. And then you can do the Eye Master collection, which is 8 custom eye brushes with the smaller bag for $42. So you have some options. I don't know if they're going to be sold separately. It says on here brushes not sold separately, but I could have sworn they changed that, but I don't know. So I think that you can only get them in the collections, which I think when it comes down to it, let me see here. So $165, not including shipping, for 24 brushes is $6.88 per brush, which I feel like is pretty good. I feel like that's totally reasonable. And then for the face collection, you're only getting 5 brushes for $58, and that's $11.60 per brush. For the eye collection, it's $42 and you're getting 8 brushes, and then it's $5.25 per brush. So you get the most value for the eye brushes typically because they're smaller. So the eye brushes are a little bit cheaper. However, if you get the whole 24, set, the entire set plus the bag, that's really not bad. So I mean, that's $6 including the bag, not too bad. So I do feel like although this does seem kind of expensive when looking at it, it's really not too bad for what you get in here. So, all right. Oh, I'm totally gonna display this like this. I didn't realize that lid like came all the way back. Like, this is really pretty. So I don't really want to take them all out of here and use them all, but I'm going to because I'm kind of a collector when it comes to brushes. Like, I will collect brushes and not use them because I just think they're pretty. I like to have them. It's just like a collector thing. It's really not necessary. But I think I'm gonna take all of these out, try to use all of them today and only them. We'll see. And then I will probably clean them and put them back so I can display them again because I think they're really pretty like this. So let me take them all out and we'll get started. All right, so this is the container that the brush case comes in, which is pretty good size, I feel like. I mean, that's a pretty decent sized brush case. And it's my favorite style of brush case, which is this kind of style. Like, it opens up so that it's flat on the bottom and then closes like that. So I'm pretty excited about that because that is something that I will use. I just recently traveled and I used this. This is a Morphe, which this must be the top part so it doesn't say Morphe on it. So this is a Morphe Brushes like cup, and you can snap this. It has like one on the other side that goes on top, and then you snap it on so it kind of keeps your brushes safe. The only thing is then like I have to put my brushes in upside down one by one to put it in there, I realized when I was packing up my brushes. So that's kind of a downside. So this kind of brush case is my favorite because then they're all in there and they're laying flat. This material is really nice. It doesn't seem like it would transfer pigments or anything like that on it too too easily. And it seems like it would be pretty easy to clean as well. And this is like a laminated glitter, so the glitter is not gonna come off. I hate it when people make things with glitter and the glitter just falls off. Like, that's really frustrating. So I do like this case. I feel like this is a nice case and it's a pretty decent value. Okay, so the first thing that I'm noticing is that these have a decent weight to them. They feel pretty heavy, a little bit more like luxury style, and the bristles are very, very soft and very like, they're not scratchy by any means, which I do feel like sometimes when you get cheaper brushes, you kind of get what you pay for and you get a little bit of a scratchier brush. But these do seem very soft and very like nice and fluffy and pretty well made. And one of the other first things that I noticed is that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total face brushes when the Face Master Collection only comes with 5 face brushes. So I'm not sure which 5 come in it, but there's 9 total. So that means you're kind of missing out on like a little bit less than half of what the total Master Collection comes with as far as the face brushes go. So I'm not sure which ones come in just the Face Master Collection, but there are more face brushes in the total collection than there is in the Face Master Collection. So it's not like they're broken up evenly, half and half. And then the eye brushes, one of the first things I'm noticing, there is like an array of like types of brush hairs. There's a lot of blending brushes, which I really like. And I know that Jaclyn on her channel did an entire like close-up of each and every brush and exactly what she uses them for, which is really helpful. But one of the first things that I'm noticing is there's not an eyeliner brush. So there's this little smudgy flat definer brush, but there is no eyeliner brush. So either we're gonna skip eyeliner today or I'm gonna have to use an eyeliner brush because I like a good sharp winged eyeliner brush. So I'm a little bit disappointed that there's not an eyeliner brush in here because I do feel like that's super essential and it's hard to find, especially for like a really sharp winged liner. Like you want a really like thin brush and it's kind of hard to find those. So yeah, I do feel like there's a decent amount of brushes. It seems a little excessive in the like blending brushes. Let me see here. All of these are blending brushes. These are all like the white goat hair blending brushes. Now it looks like they're all different lengths. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, these are all different lengths, but these are all kind of the same like blending brush style, a little bit different. They get a little bit smaller, some are a little flatter. And while I definitely am probably gonna use them all because that's the kind of person that I am, I mean, I told you, like, I literally will collect brushes and then never use them. So like that's definitely the kind of person that I am. But it does seem a little bit excessive to have this many blending brushes. So if you are not super into the whole eyeshadow thing, or maybe that you're not as creative with eyeshadow, that's not like where your artisticness lies, then I don't know that the full Master Collection would be the best for you, and maybe the one that only comes with the 8 custom eye brushes would be better for you if that's what you're interested in. So I mean, if you're not going to use them all and you don't want to spend the money, then by all means don't get them all. Another thing that I noticed is that there are these 2 brushes which are personally one of my favorites for highlighting. So just to compare, this is going to be a talkative video, I apologize. So this is my M501 brush by Morphe, and this is the highlighting brush that I normally use, the black one. This is the highlighting brush that I will use in the collection today, and they are a little bit different. So you can see one of them is a little bit more pointed, there's a little angle to it. This has a little bit more surface area on the top, but it's also a little bit skinnier overall. So they are a little bit different. I don't know if I'm gonna like this one more, but my M501 is kind of my go-to. I actually have 2 of the M501s right here. That's how often I use them. And then the other brush that is a highlighter brush, in my opinion, this is the M504. And this one is almost identical to the Jaclyn Hill. This is the JH30 brush. These are very, very similar. Like you can see they're almost exactly the same. I really don't know if there's a huge difference. I think this one, the Jaclyn Hill one's a little bit taller, a little bit more pointed. That's the only difference. So I'm not sure what the prices of the Morphe brushes are, so if this one, if there's a few that maybe you like that you don't want the whole collection for, Morphe probably makes one that's very similar already. They have a stupid brush collection, like it's ridiculously huge. So I don't know that it would be necessary to get this collection to get these kind of brushes. Let's see, I have another comparison. So one of the other things that I noticed was this big fluffy brush, which I love this big fluffy brush already. I really, really like this. This is my big fluffy brush from Morphe E1, which I've had it so long that the name has rubbed off and everything. So the difference with this one is you can tell this is a lot flatter. This is a rounder at the top, but it does seem like it's less dense than the E1 brush, which I don't know if that's something that I'm gonna like, so we'll see. Another comparison that I would like to make, this one is the JH04, and this is the E4 brush. This is the blush brush that Jaclyn talked about before. I don't know if she still talks about this one, but it was her favorite a few years ago. And these are very different. Like this one is a lot more angled. This one's a little bit fluffier. I don't know, this one's a lot smaller too. I don't know if I'm gonna like this one for blush as much as I like this one for blush. So we're gonna have to wait and see about that one. And then my last comparison that I really wanna make with you guys that I think is important is, so this is my favorite nose contouring brush, personally of all time. This is the E47. And while this one, the JH10, is very similar, like very similar, you can see that the E47 is a lot skinnier. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a lot skinnier and more precise. I typically don't go for brushes this thick for nose contouring because I want a very precise line. I mean, you can always use the side of it, but I'm not sure. I mean, this one is a lot thicker, so I don't know if I'm gonna like this as much. We're gonna see. And it has a little bit less of an angle. Like, I feel like it's not quite as dramatic of an angle. So I guess we'll have to see about that one as well. So overall, so far, my first impressions are that these are really pretty brushes. I'm not gonna deny that. These are super pretty. They're very fluffy. They're heavy. I mean, not too heavy, but they're decently heavy enough that I can feel the difference in my hand between these and these. And I think that that makes them a little bit more luxurious. And another thing that I wanna say is that I do feel like the only thing with this is that Morphe has such a huge brush collection as it is. Like, they make so many brushes, and like when I went to their store in LA, like it was walls of brushes, you know what I mean? So the only thing is that they already have a lot of brushes to offer, and I don't know necessarily that this master collection brings anything that's gonna be that different from what they already offer. I mean, there's only so many like brush shapes you can do, you know what I mean, before you've reached them all. So I do feel like maybe it's a little bit excessive, but at the same time, I'm a collector of brushes. I love collecting brushes, and I'm excited about this because I do feel like if you're the kind of person that tends to trust Jaclyn's opinion, which I do most of the time. I do trust her opinion on brushes and things of that nature, and I really like all the brushes that she's recommended in the past. And because I've liked all the ones that she's recommended in the past, I was like, yeah, I'm totally gonna get this, because if she recommended it, I'm probably gonna like it since I've liked all of the other things that she's recommended. So, I mean, while there's a lot of similarities, like here's another one. This is the E8, and then this is the JH08. That's funny. They have like the same, like the other one was the 4. So, like this is very similar. I use this to buff out my nose contour after I've done it. And this one is a little bit, it's just not as dense. I think it's because they're longer. I don't know. This one is more dense. This is the E8. And it does seem like it's just a little bit more of a dense brush. I don't know how else to describe that except it's very intense. There's a lot of bristles there. And this one doesn't seem like it has as many. Like it's almost like it's too wiggly. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. So there are a lot of similarities with the Morphe brushes that already exist. So I don't know if maybe she just built on the Morphe brushes that already exist, because I do feel like it's been a while since they've come out with a new brush collection. They've kind of like stayed stagnant in their brushes. So I don't know, but I'm excited to try these. I'm gonna try to use them all today and not use any of my other Morphe brushes. I'm a big Morphe brush fan, so I will use these over and over and over and over again. I think in the time that I've had my Morphe brushes, I've only had to repair them, like if the barrels come off, I've only had to repair them twice too, I think I've had to repair. and I mean, I travel with them to all my wedding clients. I use them on a lot of people. So that says something pretty good that they're able to hold up for somebody like me. Most people use their brushes every day, or not even every day. I use them every day plus some, you know what I mean? So I do feel like they stand up really, really well to wear and tear, and I've always been impressed with their quality. I think that's so far, those are my first impressions of them so far. I'm excited to try them, and I'm a little bit like, I'm not so sure that this is gonna be one of those things that is mind-blowing. Like, I don't know that this is gonna be a collection that's gonna be something that like you can't get anywhere else, and it's gonna be so unique and perfect. Like, Morphe Brushes kind of already has a lot of these similar brushes, if not the same. And there are a lot of blending brushes in this collection. That seems kind of funny that there's so many blending brushes, but I mean, she really likes eye makeup, so that makes sense. So I guess we will just get right into trying them. I'm gonna go in with my regular makeup routine, nothing any different. The only difference is I'm gonna use one of these palettes today that's not Armed & Gorgeous. I'm gonna take that out of there. So I'm gonna use one of these palettes today, and I've used Bling Boss a lot because I really like that. That's the purpley one. And to be prepared, I've used these guys, so they're a little messy. But I've used this one a lot, especially on a few of my wedding clients. This color Hush Hush is really pretty for weddings. So I don't know if I want to use that one today just because I've already used it like a dozen times. So we will get right into it. Okay, I think I'm gonna go in with this palette here. I'm really excited about these like pinky shimmery shades that is in this palette. And I'm excited about these like gold shades here. So I think we're gonna do this palette today, create kind of like a warm sunsetty look, maybe. I don't know that I wanna do a smoky or a halo smoky eye. I think I want it to just be a regular cat eye. So I think that's what we'll do. Oh, and I forgot, I have some new things from Sephora. So one of these is a repurchase. This is the Laura Mercier translucent powder, which I get all the time. I love that powder, it's amazing. But this one is new. I've never used the Farsali, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, the unicorn essence, and I didn't realize that they sold it at Sephora. So then I went the other day and I was like, oh, okay, I wanna try it. And it just comes in the prettiest bottle. Like, this is so pretty. It's kind of expensive. I didn't realize it was gonna be $54, which seems kind of pricey, but if it works, it works. Okay, so to go in, first I'm gonna be using the Skindinavia Oil Control Primer Spray, which I really, really like this primer spray a lot. All right, so to start off with the eyes, I'm gonna be using my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in Fair. Okay, so I'm gonna take my Laura Mercier translucent powder and buff that on top. All right, so I'm gonna go in with the JH08 brush and just kind of pack that all over. All right, so I'm gonna zoom you guys in a little bit to see the eye makeup a little bit closer, hopefully. Okay, so the only downside about this palette is that there is not really a transition shade that's like calm or, you know, light at all. So I think that I'm gonna go in with the lightest orange shade right here, which is Rush. I'm gonna go in with that shade first. To start this out, I'm gonna be using the JH35 brush. Ooh. All right. So far, my first thought is that I'm really liking how, so I mean, obviously this is stained, but I feel like a lot of the pigment did come off of the brush onto my eye. And I do feel like it blended really well, and I appreciate that pointedness a little bit for getting it right into that crease. That is something that I struggle with some of my bigger fluffy brushes. Like, this one is one of my favorite fluffy brushes, but as you can tell, it's not very pointed. So I do have a hard time focusing that in the crease. And just so you guys know, this is just one tap of that eyeshadow without any, like, I didn't knock off any of the excess. This is just one tap of that eyeshadow. Okay, so the next shade that I'm gonna go in with is Alert right here. That's a little bit darker of a shade, but it's still very warm. This one is the one I'm gonna go in after that, but it's a little bit more cool toned. It tones it down just a little bit. But I really want the base of this shadow to be very like vibrantly orange. And this is the exact same brush, which I do feel like it's leaving a lot of pigment on my eyes rather than the brush, which is awesome. I mean, there's definitely still pigment on the brush, but I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. These brushes are also similar. This is like, I mean, they're very, very similar. These are just a little bit thinner, I think. So far my only complaint is there's not like a big fluffy eye brush. Like there's this one, but I wouldn't use that for my eyes. I would use that for highlighter. The same with this, like I would use this for highlighter. I wouldn't use this for my eyes. So that's my only complaint so far, is that I'm having a little bit of trouble finding like a bigger fluffy brush. But I think that I'm just gonna use one of these without any pigment on it and just kind of blend that out. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with another one of those fluffy brushes because actually, you know what, I'm gonna go in with the same one. Okay, so this is that E35, or I'm sorry, I keep doing that. This is the JH35, the one that I just used on those other two shades. It is the thickest, like, fluffy brush for the eyes in the collection. So I think I'm gonna stick with this one for right now and go in with Mugshot, which is this kind of brown orange shade right here. And this really isn't that much more pigmented, or, I mean, I guess it's really not darker. It's not that much darker than the other shades. It's just like a little bit darker. I kind of feel like maybe one of those orange shades was a little bit unnecessary, and you could have put in like a lighter transition shade or even like a lighter champagne-y shade. Just because those other two oranges are very similar, I don't know that they were both necessary. I mean, they're both really pretty, but I just don't, I feel like maybe we could have skipped one. Okay, so far that's looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the the JH34, which is it's one brush before the one I just used, because the one I just used was the 35. So I think this one is probably, like, it seems like in the order that they go in is from skinniest to fattest, because this is 32 and this is 34. So you can kind of see the difference in how they look. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with Siren, which I'm really excited about this shade. I think this shade is really, really pretty, and I really wanna use this one because I want the base of this look to be like a warm reddish pink tone overall. I don't know that I'm gonna go in with that gold. I'm really liking this color, so I don't know if I'm gonna go in with gold. We'll have to wait and see. I haven't decided yet. So let's go in with Siren. This is a little bit pointier. And I'm using a really light hand because these are very pigmented and I don't really want this all over the eye.
Okay, so unfortunately my card decided to corrupt this last clip. As you can see, the only two shadows that I used that you missed are Siren, right there on the left, that purpley shade, and Framed on the right, that purpley shade. So those are the only two things that we missed, unfortunately. I did just put those in the outer corner of my eye. And that's it. Let's get back to the video.
Okay, so I'm going to use, I'm excited about this brush. This is the JH41. This is like a flat packer brush is what I would call it. So I'm excited about this one. I do feel like this is one that I don't really already have in my collection. I have a few that are similar, but I don't have any that come to kind of a point. See how, I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of comes to a point, whereas a lot of mine stay very rounded at the top. So I'm excited about that one because I think it's gonna be really good for shimmer shades. So I'm gonna be using these. I think the only shade in this palette I'm not using is that gold, which I feel kind of bad for not using it. But I'm gonna use these two shades right here. So I'm gonna start, this is like a darker pink shimmery shade. So I'm gonna start off with this one, and then I'm going to add the lightness into the palette, or into the eye with this shade. So I never ever go in with shadows without, shimmer shadows without them being wet. It's not something that I do. I'm not gonna start now. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this. This is my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I really like this for using shimmery shades, and I like this for kind of creating that like, not cakey appearance on the face. I don't think that this is my favorite for setting. I don't think that this makes your makeup last forever, but I do feel like it finishes kind of the makeup and makes it look really good. Okay, right, so I'm just going to, oh man, that's really pretty. Oh yeah, that's pretty. That's like a really red pink shade and I really like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna wipe off the excess of that onto a paper towel and then go in with Lolly, that shimmery pink shade, which I'm excited about. Oh yeah, that's really pretty. I really like that. Alright, so we're gonna go in with one more right on the center of the lid. I want this to be the most like obvious shade on my eye. It's really pretty. Quite honestly, before the shimmer shades, you could have just buffed that darker shade into the center of the eye and left it, and it would have looked perfectly fine. It would have given you more of a subtle look. So if that's what you're going for, then definitely you could have just left it at that. Now normally when going in with shimmer shades like this, I would probably have cut out the lid with concealer, but I didn't want to do that for two reasons. One, I want this to be a little bit more of a simpler look for people who aren't trying to do the full like intense eye glamorous makeup look. And for two, I wanted to see how these shimmer shades performed on their own with no concealer underneath, because I think that that's important. This shade is so pretty and I love the dimension that that red shade brings out underneath. So I'm gonna go back in with the JH34 brush with Framed on it by itself this time. And I'm just going to pat that. I did one dip and I'm gonna use that for both eyes because I really don't want this to be intense. So I'm just going to pat that on the outer corners and then kind of flick that shadow towards the center so that it makes that nice gradient look there. Because you can't really blend on top of shimmers, like it doesn't really work that way. And I don't want the shimmer to like be all the way out here either. So that's really pretty. So I don't think that I can do this look without an eyeliner. Like I need to do an eyeliner. I can't help it. So I think, I think the only shades I didn't use were On Camera and Boom, which is this kind of darker shimmery shade. This On Camera is really pretty, but it's just not really what I was going for today. So those are the only two shades out of this whole palette that I didn't use. I used every single other shade, which is pretty good. And my only complaints, I think, for these shades is that this one is a little unnecessary, personally. I love this shade and I love this shade, but I think that this could have been replaced with maybe a lighter transition shade or even like a bright white champagne-y highlighter shade. I think that would have been a really good opportunity too, and that was missed. So if this was replaced with a shimmer or a better transition shade, I would think that this was the perfect palette for the fall, but that's just my opinion. Do with that what you will. I do feel like this is a really pretty fall palette. I know that this review is mostly on the brushes, but I do feel like this is a really pretty fall palette, and I wanted to do a look using each palette, so this is the next one that I'm doing. And I'm really digging Lolly. That one is my favorite shade. I really, really like that shade. There's something about that like gold fiery look that I really, really like, and it's like a gold, but it's pink, so I really, really like that. Okay, so I have to go in with an eyeliner. I just can't help myself, so I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Eye Studio eyeliner. And this is my teeny tiny little eyeliner brush by Sigma. It's the EO6. It's seen its better days, but I still love this brush. This used to be all rose gold, and it's all like peeled off because I've had this one for a long time. Okay, and you guys have seen me do my eyeliner and my lashes a million times. So while I'm doing my eyeliner, I'm gonna be using my Full Lips Enhancer to plump my lips up a little bit before I go in with the rest of my face, just because when I do my face makeup, this would mess it up. So I like to do this first. Usually I would have done this while doing the eyeshadow, but I was talking, so. I'm gonna go in with Flutter Lashes in Provocative. I'm gonna go in with my favorite mascara, the Lash Paradise by L'Oreal. Some people hate this mascara because it's like, it kind of stays with you. Like you don't get rid of it. But I like that because it's very waterproof and it works really well on brides. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the Farsali Unicorn Essence, which I'm pretty excited about. Hopefully this works for me. This stuff smells amazing. Like sugar. My skin is feeling particularly dry today for some reason, so I'm hoping this will help add some moisture. Okay, so I'm going to go in with, normally I'm shade R230, but I do have a spray tan and I feel like this is a little too pale for me right now. So I'm gonna go in with the Y245. That matches me a little bit better right now. So I'm gonna do, yeah, that's pretty close. It's a little lighter, but it's pretty close. I'm gonna do 2 pumps of that. I also have my Cover FX Moonlight Drops that I'm going to put a little drop of that in there. And I'm going to mix that together. Just because, like I said, my skin's feeling real dry. So the more hydrated I can look, the better. I always get questions about my full coverage makeup looks on my clients, and while the Makeup Forever foundation is, I would say, almost very full coverage, like it's medium to full, it's not, the liquid foundation is not the most full coverage, and I like that for 2 reasons, because I don't think that the entire face needs full coverage most of the time. So I do like to have a little bit of a lighter coverage on areas that don't need as much coverage. And I am gonna go in with the Stick foundation in the exact same shade to add a little bit more coverage in areas that need it, because I do feel like this really packs on the coverage.
Anything for you, pumpkin.
And a little bit of this goes a long way, so I'm just gonna go in on areas where I've had breakouts lately, where I have more freckles. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the Fair Neutral shade of the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer for under my eyes. A little bit of this stuff goes a really long way for me, especially. Okay, so before I set that, I want to quickly do a little bit more of the drops on the cheekbones. And in my experience, I just can't, I don't feel like a sponge does the trick for this, so I tend to use my fingers. Okay, so I feel like that's a good highlight. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in, I know this is really excessive, but I have all these shades, so I'm gonna use them. So for some cream contour, this is the G70 Cover FX drops, and this is not that much darker, but I'm just going to go in with this a little bit to kind of contour, and a little bit of these drops goes a really, really long way. All right, so before I go back in with my, I'm gonna go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder for underneath of my eyes. I'm just gonna spray my sponge a little bit with that continuous mist one more time so it's a little bit more damp. And I'm just gonna set under my eyes just like that. Always go over top of the nose, which helps blend out that contour later on. So I'm just gonna take this big fluffy brush. This is the JH01, and I'm going to get some of the translucent powder on here and kind of just dust this all over the skin to set everything. I do really like this. I think that this is a really nice fluffy brush. Like, I'm kind of a fan of this one. I think I like it more than my other one for dusting powder all over because I like that it's not as dense. I do like that. Now this one, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a contour or what. I'll have to watch her video on that because I don't think that I would use that for contour. I think I'm gonna use this for contour. Okay. So, to go in, before I do my brows, I'm going to do my contour because I want to bake while I'm doing my brows. These are the Makeup Geek contour shades. I'm 90% sure that they still make them. I have all of them in this palette here with their blushes, quite a few of their blushes that I really like. So normally when I'm not tan, I go in with Fair, or Porcelain and Fair, which are these shades here. But I'm going to go in with Fair in medium since I am a little bit more tan right now. Okay, so I'm going to use the JH05 brush to contour. I do think I like this brush. This is kind of nice and fluffy, and I think it blends the contour really well. I do feel like because this brush is so flat and it's not very pointed that you do have to go in with a little bit of a lighter hand for your contour so that you don't get a flat line all the way across here. But I guess I was gonna bake anyway, so. Okay, so I'm gonna try the JH10 for my nose contour. We will see how it works because I'm really picky about my nose contour and I love that E47 brush so much, so we're gonna see. I'm gonna go in with that medium cool shade. I prefer cooler toned contour shades when I do, that's not as precise, but this does deposit a lot of pigment, which I do like. Okay, so as per usual, I'm just gonna dust that off a little bit and use this to buff down. I like to bring that shade down and buff it out in kind of circular motions, but keeping the brush in the same shape that it was before, or in the same placement, I guess. I do feel like my nose contour looks a little bit more intense than it normally does, but I still haven't baked yet, so we'll see. So I'm gonna use the exact same brush with that Laura Mercier translucent powder. And I'm gonna set that right here. Which is gonna clean up that line, but also it's going to like tone it down a little bit. All right, so we're gonna do the exact same thing. So while that's setting, I'm gonna use the Precisely My Brow Pencil by Benefit. Okay, so we are going to try this is the JH43 brush, which is the definer brush. I do feel like this one could be a little bit more pointed than it is, but that's until I try it. So I'm just gonna use that with my Morphe, or my Makeup Forever HD, that foundation, and I'm just going to put the foundation on here. I prefer a cream product than more of a liquid product when I carve out my brows, so that's what I'm gonna go with for that. And I am eating my words a little bit because I actually do really like this one. This is very sturdy. I like that a lot. It's not super flimsy, which I hate in definer brushes. Yeah, I actually really, really like this brush. I'm probably gonna use this brush a lot more often because I really like this. All right, so I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Gimme Brow to darken those light hairs, because they are very pale. I'm really in need of dyeing my eyebrows again because that really worked for me.
Yes, I did film this video before I dyed my brows. That video is up on my channel right now. You can click that card right up there in the right-hand corner to go and see that video.
My brow hairs are just so much more pale than my natural hair color. My natural hair color is pretty much this dark. Like, I got it dyed 6 months ago, but that was it. So, and then last but not least for the brows, the 24-hour brow setter. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with this. I'm sure that this is more of a foundation brush. This is the JH03, but I'm gonna use this to buff off my powder because I really want more of a dense brush to do that. Okay, so far I'm really liking how this is turning out. Okay, so I'm gonna go in for under the eyes next because after that I just have highlight and blush. So I'm gonna go in with both of these brushes. One is the 38, the JH38, and then one's the JH39. So I'm gonna go and take the pigment on the smaller brush and kind of press it into place and then buff it out with the bigger brush for under the eyes. So I'm just gonna take Rush and Siren and I'm gonna mix them together and I'm just gonna put that right under the eye. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Framed. Just tap that a little bit. Another thing I would like to point out is how I hold the brush when I do this. I hold it kind of this way. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this bigger brush and I'm just gonna put a little bit of that Rush shade on it and tap most of it off. I want like a very light amount of that and dust that right under the eyes. I'm gonna use the JH04 brush for my blush and then I'm going to use the Morphe. This is the 8W palette and I tend to use these bottom shades the most, but I'm gonna use this one and this one and I'm gonna mix them together and then put them on my skin because I want a good combination. So that's MUA and Goals and I want a good combination to kind of go off of this eye color. So I'm just gonna pat that right here. See, this is not so much for patting as it is for, like I feel like patting for this is not what this brush is for. So I'm gonna try to use it this way. I do like using it that way. The other one, the E4 that I normally use, you do have to pat it when you use it to get the most pigment out of it. But I do feel like this is more of like a blending brush. Okay, so for highlights, I'm gonna go in with, this is Ice Cold by Jeffree Star. So I'm gonna go in with this shade as well as the Starlit Powder by Makeup Forever in the shade 13. I'm going to use, this is JH09, so I'm gonna use this first on my cheek here. And I do like how precise this brush is. That's one thing that I will say. I'm kind of using it at a little bit of an angle, but I do like the preciseness of this brush for highlight because I do struggle with that. Like I don't want highlight all over here. And I'm not wetting my brush for this part. So I'm just gonna tap that on the tip of my nose and right there on my Cupid's bow as well. So this is the other highlight brush. This is the JH30. Since this one is smaller and more pointed, I'm gonna use that with the, that I just made a mess out of. This is the Starlit Powder, that Makeup Forever Starlit Powder. And this stuff, like a little bit goes a really long way. So I want this really concentrated on that area. Oh yeah, like a little bit of that goes a really long way. And I'm going to put that on the tip here. I'm putting it kind of directly into the pan and dusting it off a little bit before, there we go. Okay, so this I think is more of a lip brush. This is the JH42, but I'm gonna use it on the inner corner of my eye. I'm gonna use the exact same, that Makeup Forever Starlit Powder, and I'm just gonna pack it right here in the inner corner. I'm just gonna take a little bit of that under the brow bone. I really like this brush for this. I think that really works. So we're gonna take a little bit of this is the Great Lash Waterproof Mascara. I use this on the bottom because it works the best. So out of 24 brushes, I used 20 of them in this look. I was able to use the majority of the brushes one way or the other, whether that be contour, powder, highlight, all of it. So these are the only brushes I didn't use. There's a lot of eye blending brushes, so I'm not sure that I really needed an extra one. Not to mention that I got 2 of the 37 brushes, so that's one of the other things. I pack shadow underneath my eyes, so therefore I didn't use this one. This would be a really good highlight brush for the collarbone, for example, or for the shoulders. I don't feel like I would use this on my face that often. It's just a little too big for me. And then this one, I'm not totally sure. Maybe for a contour. Again, I feel like I would just use this down the neck. I think this would be a really good down the neck brush. I do have a hard time finding one for that in particular, so maybe that would be for that reason. So I think we're gonna move on to lips. For lips, I'm going in with the Makeup Forever. This is the Aqua Lip, which is like a waterproof lip liner. This is in 2C. So I'm just gonna line the lips, and then I'm gonna go in with some Jeffree Star liquid lipstick. Okay, so the lips are lined. So I think I'm gonna go in with, this is Birthday Suit and Thick as Thieves, which I might have gone in on the last video. I'm sorry. I really like this combination and I feel like it works with my eyes. So I'm just gonna use Thick as Thieves on the outer corners of my lips and then Birthday Suit on the inner corner. I guess there's not an inner corner of your lip, I just realized. Okay, and just to add a little bit more of that lighter shade in the center, I'm going to use Drug Lord, which is a white liquid lipstick. Okay, and to set everything in place as per usual, I'm going to be using the Scandinavia Bridal Spray, which is my favorite spray. And in case you're curious, I did get this little fan. It's a little USB-C fan that plugs into the bottom of my phone. I got it on Amazon. I can link it down below for you guys. I think I got 4 of them for like $6 or $7 and it's amazing. I just can't help myself. Now I'm gonna use that JH06 that I didn't use, and I'm gonna do a little bit of highlight on my collarbones because I'm actually tan for once, and that never happens to me. So my final thoughts for the Jaclyn Hill Morphe collaboration for the collection, the brush collection, I'm impressed. I think that it's a really good collection, quite honestly. They do seem like very good brushes. They do seem like really high quality brushes. The only complaint that I might have for you is, just as a consumer, is that Morphe already makes a lot of these brushes. They do. And there's a lot that are similar that Morphe already makes, which, to be completely honest, I think that it was going to be impossible for her to make an entire brush collection that didn't include any brushes that Morphe already had, since they have a huge collection as a company. So I do feel like that's like a fair statement as far as that goes. I do feel like they're fairly priced. I feel like they're a really good price point, especially with the little case. Like, I'm totally digging the little case. I love that a case comes with every single brush set and you get a usable case, which is one thing that I have to complain about with a lot of the original Morphe brush collections, is that they came in those roll cases which I don't use. I can't use them. I hate them. I have like 18 roll cases where you roll them up and you stick them down in the little slots. I hate them because I never use them. I think it's very impractical because when I reach for a brush, I'm not gonna take the time to stick each one back in after using it. And then I use them 4 or 5 times. So I do feel like this is actually something that's gonna be very practical that I will use. I will definitely put these in here. I will carry and travel with them. I might even use this for clients. It's possible. The current brush roll that I have is it's like a waist thing for my brushes, but I might go so far as to use this with my clients, which that would make this worth it for me. As far as how many brushes you get, I think 24 brushes is pretty awesome. As far as a collection goes, if I were to buy a brush collection, and I mean this wholeheartedly, this would be the brush collection that I would buy. If I didn't have any of the other brushes that I have, I think that this is the collection I would buy because I used 21 out of 24 brushes today. And as you can tell, this is my go-to daily brush. This is my little brush container that I use every single day. My tried and trues, my fully believed in. And the only one out of this that I used is my eyeliner brush. That's the only thing that I would have had to add to this collection is an eyeliner brush. I wouldn't have had to add anything else. If I was gonna buy a brush collection, I've had a really hard time finding one to recommend to clients because I've had a hard time finding one that I looked at and I was like, yeah, I would definitely use the majority of those brushes. Usually when I look at a brush collection online, I'm like, okay, I can see myself using 5 of those and it's like 30 brushes and that's not worth it. So considering I used so many of them, and I know that I was trying to, but I actually really liked them and I'm probably gonna reach for these. I do feel like that they were really good quality. I feel like the price point's pretty fair. $6, less than $6 if you include this per brush, which that seems totally fair. And I do feel like that they have a good enough brush range of something that would make it perfect for everyday use. I can't speak on the Face Master collection and the Eye Master collection because those ones, I'm not 100% sure which brushes come in those. But if you're the kind of person that maybe you don't do a lot of face makeup, then totally go for the eye collection. Don't even bother with the whole collection. Or if you're the kind of person that only sticks kind of with, you know, eye makeup and maybe you don't like to do a lot of, you know what I mean, one or the other, then go with one of those because it's not worth it if you're not going to use them. So that's kind of something that you have to, there's like a hair. That's kind of something that you have to decide for yourself if you are to purchase one of these collections. However, if you like to collect brushes, if you use makeup a lot, if you're a makeup artist, if you're kind of the person who does makeup every single day like I do, then the Master collection, the full collection, would definitely be worth the money in my opinion. I think you're going to get a lot of use out of it. As far as the palette goes, today I used the Ring the Alarm palette, this one here, and in my last video I used the Armed and Dangerous palette, but this one is the Ring the Alarm, and I really liked it. Like I said, the only thing I would change is maybe getting rid of this shade and putting in a lighter transition shade or a champagne-y color, because as you can see, I really dig that Starlit powder by Makeup Forever because it's a very pretty champagne color, and I didn't use these 2 shimmer shades here. I don't see myself reaching for this shade. I'm not a big fan of darker shimmers, but if you like a darker shimmery smoky eye, then that shade's gonna be perfect for you because I know a lot of people who do like that. So I do think that this is gonna be a really good palette for fall. If you're looking for a cheap palette for fall, this one's only $15 and I don't have any complaints with it. I haven't had any issues as far as the blendability. I think maybe that darker color, what was it called? Framed was a little bit difficult to blend, but I didn't have like the worst time. It wasn't so hard that I didn't want to use it, if that makes any sense. So I mean, so far I do think that these are something that I would recommend definitely to my clients. These are definitely going to be brushes that I recommend to you guys, but at the end of the day, it's totally your decision. It is a little pricey. $165 is kind of a lot to spend. I totally get that, and it's not, you know, if you are looking for one brush collection that's going to last you a long time, then this is definitely worth the money. As I said before, I've had these brushes, a majority of these brushes, for 4+ years. I remember when Morphe first came out, I bought a few of these brushes. I have some of the brushes from the original Elite collection before they discontinued it and came out with the new Elite collection. So I still use a lot of those. So I never have to worry about the bristles falling out. I never have to worry about the barrels. I mean, I go hard on these brushes. I use them a lot. They soak in alcohol. They soak in Cinema Secrets brush cleaner. cleaner. I wash them all the time because I'm always using them on clients, and that's just the sanitary thing to do. So for being cleaned a lot and a lot of harsh chemicals being used on them all the time, they hold up really well, and I have no reason to believe that the Jaclyn Hill collection wouldn't do the exact same thing. So I think that is it. Those are my thoughts. I hope you liked this video. Please leave it a thumbs up if you did like it, and leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. I know that there's some controversy kind of surrounding Jaclyn Hill at the moment with the palette, with the brushes, with all kinds of stuff. The fact that she's divorced, that was like a big deal. So everybody is really talking about these, and I want, you know, to have a fair opinion, and I would love for you guys to leave your opinions in the comments below, whatever your opinion you have. I think that it's important for everybody to hear all opinions before they go and purchase something, especially if you're gonna spend $165. That's a lot of money, and that's not including shipping. So, which I think right now they're doing free shipping on anything over $80, and I'm pretty sure that it does apply to this. I'm pretty sure you can still get the free shipping. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on my notifications. Click that little bell so you can be notified when I upload, because it is going to be happening a lot more here soon. And hopefully in my next video I can talk to you guys about some things that's been going on in my life. I can't wait to tell you some of the things that's happened. A lot has changed in the last couple of months, so I'm excited to have kind of a sit down just chat video that's not just a review video, but I do intend on doing a lot of reviews because they're my favorite. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.